Hey guys, today I want to show you how we clean the hydraulic lash adjuster lifters on the NA Miatas. So these are the lifters, and these are the guys responsible for the wonderful ticking noise. So how they work, as the motor heats up, the distance between the valve and the camshaft changes slightly as the temperatures go up and metal expands. So the idea behind these is that these will get pumped up via the oil pressure and maintain a perfect clearance between those two. What happens is one of two things. Either they get stuck, and so this no longer moves, which can result in the valve propped open, or more commonly they get stuck in the down position and they clatter back and forth. Or this continues to function correctly, but the oil is not getting through that port and pumping it up anymore, and you get clatter. And you'll notice that some cars will get lifter tick on when they're cold and the oil is thick, and sometimes they get it when it's hot. So what we've seen is if it's cold, the oil is too thick to get through what's left of that little passage into there and pump up the lifter, and once it thins out, everything's okay. If it's hot, the oil is draining out past this seal. Well, it's not really a seal, it's draining out between this piece of metal and that one, so the oil is exiting faster than it's filling. And so when it gets really hot, it no longer will work correctly. You can buy these new from Mazda. They are very expensive. I think last time I looked, they were about $38 each. So if you need 16 of them, that adds up. You can buy aftermarket ones. We have had mixed success with some of the off-brand versions of these. Some of them do work, but we've also had some others that were dead straight out of the box for various misassembly reasons. So what we normally do is rebuild the originals. So first, talk about what's worth rebuilding, what's not. I have here this one. This one here I would probably fail. So if you look at that, there is quite a bit of scuffing on the sidewall. So whatever happened to this guy, and I just grabbed these two randomly out of the box we got. Whatever happened to this guy, he had metal chips, are floating around in the oil or something. But we can measure and mic the diameter and repolish it and see if it would pass. But my guess is that guy's going to fail. So we look for excess scuffing on the sidewall, and he's still holding pressure though. So, all right, so we're going to rebuild this one. This is a pretty normal amount of wear. There's a couple light lines in there, but no massive scuffs, and it's a normal wear pattern on that. So tools we're going to need. You want a magnet on a stick, a little screwdriver, needle nose pliers. This tool is a valve stem seal puller, and we have found this to be perfect for disassembling these. So grab yourself one of those, a pair of needle nose tweezers, and then 2 buckets. We need a gunk bucket, and then this bucket I have filled with lacquer thinner. And lacquer thinner is perfect for dissolving the oils and cleaning these parts. So first thing we're going to do is grab the center of this, squeeze really tight, a little bit of a twist, and it disassembles. So I'm going to put all these parts into my gunk bucket, and this one's been sitting for who knows how long in a bucket here. Usually if you take these apart, tons of crappy oil falls out of it. So as I disassemble this one might be clean enough, I might be okay. So there is no moving parts in this. This is a single metal piece. There's a hole there, and I'm gonna go grab a flashlight. One sec. All right, if you have a flashlight, you can shine light down here, and you should be able to see light come through that hole, and I cannot right now. Oh, there it is. There's a little bit of a path there. See that? If you cannot see light through there, then this guy is plugged and there's some blockage going on. So I can see light there. And let's see. There's a hint of light coming through there. So there's no moving parts. This is this lip here. simply goes over and curls down, and that's why you can't see straight through, but it's just a big open bucket. Going to place him in our lacquer thinner and let it start doing its work. This piece, this just comes apart. Of course, my hands are all slippery now. There we go. And there's a spring inside and more gunky oil. If you have the spring, this piece we can go ahead and put into our bucket. Spring can come apart, go into the bucket. Now we need our needle nose pliers. There's a little cap that's just press fit right here. And we're gonna just twist slightly. He's gonna come off, and there's two more pieces inside. There's a spring and a ball bearing. I'm going to just dump the whole thing into our bucket, if it'll come off of the pliers. And there's that little spring. This little spring likes to run away and get stuck to everything, so we're gonna leave him in there. So for each of these pieces, the best way to clean, I found, you can see, actually, if I bring this up, you can see the oil beading up and coming off of that piece right there. Shake each piece in the bucket so we're happy that it's completely clean and there's no dirt left on it. And then I'm going to lay them all out on the table one at a time. So, hey, look, it tried to run away. There's our little spring, we'll leave him there. This is where the magnet comes in handy. Bring the magnet into the bucket, grab a piece. No, we're not playing barrel of monkeys. I'm gonna swish them back and forth, and you can see all the dirt falling off. I can see the bottom now. Look how clean it is. So I'm going to dry this with a towel. Dry it inside and outside. The dogs are playing in the background. All right. Clean, shiny, smooth, no damage. Okay, piece number 2. Now let's get this cap out. Turn him around on the magnet. We still got some dirt in there, so. And you'll have to change this I can usually do about 6 lifters if they're really gnarly, before I have to change the lacquer thinner out. You can do more, you just can't, you can't see the pieces, so you're fishing blind in a bucket. I gotta do this off camera to clean this piece out. Okay. Looks like a brand new piece of metal. No dirt. All right, we'll go fishing for the ball bearing and the spring. These usually clean themselves. Yeah, so pull that out. Oh, where'd he go? He's inside the spring. Okay. This piece, the center of the plunger mechanism. So on one side, it's a short recess. On the other side, it's a deep recess. No more moving parts. We do want to get him really clean. So this is our piston. This is inside of here is actually where the oil pressure builds up and moves up and down. So, and there is a hole in the side of it. If I can mount it sideways, you can take it and swish it in the bucket. make sure it's all clean. And I can see straight through. So we can do the same trick with flashlight again. Making sure that we can see through the backside of that hole. All good, dry him off. Okay. Last piece, the big guy. Now, the best way I found to clean this, because it's really hard to see inside of him, I'm gonna rotate it until, where's my hole? There's my hole, right there on the side so I can see it on this side. I'm gonna literally scoop up stuff and watch it pour out that hole on the side. That's the passage I'm really concerned about getting. So, swish, 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 bring it up, pour out that hole in the side. So I got nice flow. It's very therapeutic. Okay, now that he's done with that, I will wipe them down, and sometimes I will take them over to the air compressor and blow through it just to make sure that anything that was missing came out. Again, you can't see into the little crannies in the bottom. There's our passage. We can see through that hole. That is not obstructed. All right, like I said, I'll skip it on this video, but yes, go over there with the air compressor and blow through that hole, make sure nothing is left in there. So now we're done with our lacquer thinner. So it's time to start reassembly. So he's actually the last piece we need, so we're gonna set him aside. First piece we're gonna need is this guy, and we're gonna set him so that he is the short side up. So there's a short side and a deep hole on this side. So we want the short pocket on the top. Now, this is where our needle nose pliers come in. If I set him down, I'm gonna pick up my cap. I'm gonna turn my cap over. So I'm gonna set the cap down right there. I'm gonna drop in my little spring. He goes into the base of the cap. And my ball, is gonna go right on top of it. Now if I take this short side, I'm gonna press it onto that cap. So this is the assembly I'm left with. And what this does, I don't know if this is small enough to get in there. Oh yeah, it is. All right, so if you see that ball, I can move up and down. It's a one-way check valve. If oil pressure builds up here and pushes that direction, it's going to push the ball up, allowing it to pass through. When the oil pressure builds up on this side and tries to go back that way, the ball gets shot down and completely blocks this hole. No oil is supposed to go through. When these get dirty, the reason the dirty lifter causes the ticking noise is if you have crud in that hole, that ball is no longer a perfect seal. So it's going to let oil just pass through both directions whenever it wants to. And the pressure of the valve spring far surpasses the pressure of the oil pump. So it's gonna win and it's gonna make a bunch of noise. So this is our cap with our one-way check valve in it. We're now gonna put a spring on top of it and then put the piston on top of that. And we're gonna slide them together. Now, there's no seals here, right? Some oil is gonna be able to leak out eventually. The idea is just that you want your input of oil into this cavity to be higher than your output of oil. So the oil pressure gets shoved down that hole, and so this is closed, and as the oil pressure goes in, it fills up. Then when your valve hits it and tries to go the other way, that check valve closes and the oil that's left in this cavity prevents this from shrinking again. If it's broken, this keeps moving infinitely, and that's the lifter tick that you hear. So last step is to put it all together. This goes in this way. So this face touches the bottom in there, and you can see that little cutout. That's how oil gets, since this face is touching that surface, that's how oil can sneak through and get up in there. So oil pressure is going to fill this whole cavity and pressurize this entire thing. Some of it's going to sneak in, it's going to pump this up. Now, it should work like this. You should be able to turn this upside down and it not fall out. If this is worn, where this just falls out on its own, might be an indication that this part is bad. You need to replace that. Or you can assemble it this way. It's easier to see doing it like this. And there's this little ring here that's going to snap under this lip. So if I put that in, it's attached. It won't come out, but I can move it. That's my take up. So I can pump this. That is a happy lifter. So that is rebuilt. This is the way most of them come if you buy them new. Some of them come pre-primed and you have to pull this out and disassemble it. If you install one that's too tall, it's pre-primed and the oil can't escape, you'll be propping a valve open the whole time. Now, we do want to prime these halfway before they go into the engine. So, with our bucket of oil, I've heard people say you just need to drop them in and wait for the bubbles to stop. Well, if you just drop it in, yeah, the bubbles have stopped. Without a pump, we're not going to get it inside of that middle cavity. What you want to do, see if I can do this on camera. Oh, you won't do it this way. Just stand it upright. Make sure that the hole is facing you. And if you push once, bubbles come out. So I let air come out, and now when I released it, it's going to suck some stuff back in. Give them a couple of pumps, and this will begin the priming process. And pump until the bubbles stop, but you should still, oh, there we go, so the bubbles have ceased. However, I can still depress this fully. So I have simply filled the outer can. That's going to speed up the pumping up process once the engine starts to run. But you want to make sure you can still fully depress this. And I will use a feeler gauge when I put these in the motor and check that I can still depress this 15th hour or so, and none of them are pumped up too far. So, 1 down, 15 to go. It's not bad if you get into a rhythm. It usually takes me about 10 minutes per lifter to rebuild them. Yeah, it's fun. It's therapeutic. If you have the right tools, my fingers aren't tired. So get the right equipment and rebuild your lifters.